and you say to go live.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
kind of
there
weird.
is. That's right, Puddin'.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Let's get into it.
Strange.
1, 2, 3. Have your hands. Some more. Just give some more.
Hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And not only that, it's where we're talking about, and in particular, craft distilleries. That's true. You can put that up all you want. I'm never going to not go against that. That's 100% accurate. So, Mike, what do you usually tell the people at this point?
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification, leave a comment down below if you're watching this after the fact. If you're watching live, interact with the nice people in the chat. And if you dare use any clips like this for your own YouTube show, you owe royalties. You know who I'm talking to.
All right. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for stopping in for this little live review we're doing this evening. It's good to see every one of you. And tonight we are going to be talking about 6 and 20 Distillery. Ben, this was in your former neck of the woods,
Right.
right? What do you know about these guys?
My former hometown distillery. Just a little old distillery doing the craft thing, in the hills of South Carolina. They started out in an area called Piedmont. They recently moved their location to the little bit bigger city of Greenville. Had a nice redo there. They're running a pot still, doing a little hybrid distillation there. They'll distill through the pot, then they'll do their doubling through a column still. They play around with some interesting mash bills. They're I think really well known in our community, especially for the rye, the heirloom rye, because of that. They need to do a cast strength. Yeah, I think it's coming. I think it's coming because they are finally releasing some cast strength editions of their 5-grain bourbon and the wheat whiskey. I would hope that rye is going to be next because I think it could really benefit from that. But they're using that black seacoast rye that's really unique. It's really well done. Again, a 5-grain bourbon where they're using rice as the 5th grain. They have an all wheat whiskey. They do use that heirloom rye as the base for a vodka. They have, if you happen to be in Greenville, it's a fantastic bar there to set up. Do a tour, check out their bar. Madison is the lady there that manages that. She has absolutely transformed it, and they are just killing it on the cocktail scene.
That's what I was going to say. I'm constantly seeing from you and other people, and
yeah.
They look like they know what they're doing, and not too over the top crazy, but just like you see it, and it's a solid drink, and you're like,
it's original, it's creative. They're doing just really neat things with the spirits that they have, and it became a regular watering hole for me while I was there, but I'm no longer there. So what we're talking about tonight is something they put out a few years ago called the Triple Malt whiskey. It was a little collaboration with Quest Brewing, that's a local brewery there, and it's basically a single malt. Well, they call it a triple malt, but in definition, it's really a single malt. So it's a combination of 2-row toasted and chocolate malt, coming in at 40% and aged for 2 years.
Back to the 2-row.
So
interesting.
They only sold these in the little 375s, and it was a limited edition thing. And once it's gone, it's been gone. So chances of you finding this are probably slim to none. But we finally get around to
doing it again soon.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And just opening it up and pouring this off to the side just now, when I did that, lofting from about 2 feet away, I was starting to get some notes off of it just from that distance. So I'm kind of excited.
I've as you can see, I mean, I've held back from finishing this off till we could review it, but I've really enjoyed this one, enjoyed sharing it. So curious to see what you guys think of this one.
It has a nice bready note. It's not yeasty though. Excuse me.
No, the malt. Yeah, the malt's right up there. There's some nice fruit going on.
So you can tell there's a chocolate
peach, little
malt.
apple,
What was
and
the
that
other
chocolate
malt?
malt. Yeah, chocolate
it
malt,
just chocolate, or-
just chocolate malt, toasted malt, and your classic 2-row barley.
We can tell the chocolate for sure.
Yeah, I'm getting like fresh. I guess it's not really a fat guy thing because it's somewhat healthy, but like fresh fruit spread on a honey wheat bread.
Right. It almost puts me in the mind of gummy bears. Like pop open a bag of gummy bears.
When I went to this side,
Fruity
went up
candy
higher. Yeah, on the outside edge of the glass is where I got that extra little punch. Or you said like gummy bears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like halfway down the glass.
Fruit punch.
I can see it.
Yeah.
On the nose, though, I think they're two different types of smells where it's not all it layers well, but it's not as like cohesive.
Right.
The bread thing threw me off because it's a lot lighter than I would have expected. Like that toasted thing, and it's a little bit lighter. Not getting a lot, pretty much. I'm gonna say slim to none on a barrel note. Everything else seems to be over the top. I mean, it's a little bit in the background, but
yeah, I think the malt really is very forward in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, a young age, 2 years. They were using, I know at the time they were using number 3 char barrels. I think they've transitioned to 4 char. So I'm guessing it was probably a 3 char on this one. But
ooh, I want to do a taste. It has not as expecting it. It has a nice pepper note to it. Little underlying from the beginning, kind of kicks up a little bit towards the end. Never a whole lot, but more than what I was expecting. I guess I wasn't expecting any, like a little pepper note, but that was nice. I'm gonna go back in for more.
That's different. It's like moving around on my palate.
right.
Like it had that little bit of pepperiness, and then it went cola and then fruit.
This is not your typical American style single malt that you normally encounter or think of. It kind of stands on its own a little bit.
The viscous level is what I'm having a hard time with. It feels a little heavy, but it like flows. The oiliness feels like it's flowing a lot pretty freely.
Which is the amount of flavor that comes off of this being at 40% is pretty astounding. I'd have loved to have seen this a little higher proof. But it almost makes me think of like I took a bite of a Fig Newton and at the same time took a bite of a chocolate bar.
I was going to say, because you need that extra layer underneath. Like if you put like, hold on here. I was going to say an Oreo underneath a Fig Newton, or even like a strawberry Newton.
And you covered it in chocolate.
Right.
This is America, man. If bacon
right.
or chocolate, you covered it in, everyone's happy.
We love our fat boy tasting notes.
Just rub bacon all over it.
Actually, this is
right.
It has a nice finish. Little heat under the tongue. Not overwhelming. Feels like it's going away on the top pretty freely here, but that's still, maybe a minute later. I feel like we lost everyone in the chat. Is everyone out there? Well, no, you know how this thing takes load to slow. Sometimes all of a sudden there's like 20 messages, and you're like,
all right, they're probably just like, oh,
dick.
great, something we can't buy. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Well,
Goodbye.
Might as well just have George T. Stagg on.
Yeah. I'd rather have that
Can't
than
get that
William
either.
Weller.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a whole other side. But anyway,
So this is more of a single malt than a triple malt. They just kind of went about it with the 3 different styles. Okay, I get it. I get the thought.
Yeah. Spirit's definition. This is classic single malt, but they're calling it triple malt because they use 3 different malts in the mash bill. But
I'm surprised they haven't gone back to this.
right.
I mean, this was really nice, easy drinking, full of flavors. Cadbury fruit or
Yeah, that would be more it, Emily. More milk chocolate range than a dark chocolate. territory, at least to me.
Mhm.
Good milk chocolate, not Hershey's.
Yes.
Distinct. What is it? Tirolo? What is? It's like
Huh?
the Austrian, the log.
Toblerone.
Toblerone. Oh my God,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
All right.
Swiss, not Austrian.
All right. I'm putting triple malt down. As far as like a single malt, it's pretty solid. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? If we were scoring people, you'd 80s-ish range, maybe
Right.
high 80s. No, I wouldn't say it would break 90s. Maybe a couple things missing, but for a 2-year, pretty solid.
As
Pretty
as
solid
far as I
single
know,
malt.
as far as I know, this is the only malt 6 and 20 has put out.
Oh,
Since I've been
goodness.
following them. It's kind of like, man, you guys did this. You need to tackle a malt on a regular basis, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Maybe 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really neat. All right. So
And honestly, since they've put this out, there's a lot of great local breweries that have popped up that you could partner with, you know, like you did with this one. Each year, partner with a different brewery and come out with a special release malt.
now you're thinking. No, you're thinking. Hey, I found Carolina Rogue. I don't know where it was hiding. I got it though. So who wants to go next with a review here? I got a few things on the board. I just don't know if we all have the same stuff at this moment.
I doubt it, but
Yeah, I got the Carolina Rouge too.
okay.
Right.
Why don't you guys tackle that one?
All right. The only other one I have after that is a
Ooh.
gin. This one does not jump out as much as the malt did.
No, but
I don't expect it to, you know.
like this was like it's trying to draw it out of there.
Yeah.
You can get in there real deep.
I inhaled huge there trying to get that.
It's 40% also. And,
Yeah.
so what do we know about the Carolina Rouge? I'm assuming it's finished in wine.
It is I'm trying to remember because once again, the bottle is not with me. It's in my former home at the moment until I can get everything moved up here. It was a French wine cask.
I'll find it here in a minute, but I'm getting a nice amount of barrel note on this for more of like a classic bourbon, but then you get the finish, like the
Find out for you just a second.
sweetness. I'm also getting like a dusty. Hold on.
It's for the nose. So
Dusty
for
bread.
because here's another one you're not going to buy. The nose is, it's like when you know something that's been finished in a wine barrel, that it's not overdone, or you feel like it's compensating too much to hide something. It's very complimentary.
Subtle.
Now, I will say this: they have not produced this again yet. But as far as I remember hearing, I think they are going to do another batch of Carolina Rouge coming up soon. They also, there's a good chance that you can still find it at some liquor stores around South Carolina in the state when they released it. Some places still have a few bottles available if you.
Well, it's such a different beast than the last one.
Okay, so this was aged in a Rhone. A Côte Rôtie was a specific wine, and the grain bill, it's a soft red winter wheat and barley. So it's their wheat whiskey. It's aged 2 years in the French oak wine barrel.
Dude, there's a little bit of mustiness going back to the nose. And like
I was gonna say, I remember there being quite a bit of earthiness on that one.
Yeah, it's
Musty and earthy.
it almost.
But it doesn't jump out. It's like
No,
it's
you have
there.
to
It's like it's
find
just
it.
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're having to find things, and it's not because it's not there. It's just there's a lot to unpack in the nose, and it's put together really well. Where it's not jumping out. You're like, oh yeah, well clearly this is finished in whatever. No, you can tell it's finished in wine, but there's no way I would guess what it is.
No,
Right.
it almost like seems when I'm going in on the nose, it seems like light like a light nose on the palate, and then by the time you get done inhaling, it's that last like loft that's coming in where you're getting a lot more of the flavors. Yeah, surprisingly earthy though. All right. Caramel, vanilla, light on the oils. I want to say more of a white pepper than a black pepper halfway through.
Right.
Light on the oak, on the finish. Very approachable, but in my overall, nice flavors, a little light on them. That's all. You jump this up.
Very light finish.
8 points. Maybe you would see, I think the flavors would, strengthen up and, solidify a little more. Not saying they're not there. It's just, it's not quite like the whiskey row where it's easier to. I'm trying to find one like it. Hold on a second.
So the finish is really light, but then you are left with, or I'm left with just like a layer of fruit. Like the finish, it feels like it falls off, and it's just like, oh, and now there's fruit, and it's just kind of hanging out.
At the very end, I'm like getting a gingerbread, then like frosting and fruit, but the gingerbread kind of pulls away quickly.
Frosting, that's a good, like cream cheese frosting.
But maybe.
I'm not a fan of it. But so you just get that little bit of tart. There's like a little tartness to it. And then, just enough to say, why don't you make real sugar frosting, you bastard? Why do you got to do the cream cheese?
So I'm the opposite. Give me the cream cheese frosting. Okay.
See, people overdo it. They overdo it, though.
I get that. It's heavy. It's on the richer side of things.
I'm, you know me, you've seen me. I'm good with rich. The problem is when they do it and you're like, really? So 90% cream cheese and 10% of something else on this one, huh?
Right.
Like, why don't you just put cream cheese on it if you're going to do that? Make it work together.
You need
Same
to
thing with the overly sugary frostings too. It's like, really?
Yeah.
You could have cut back just a little bit on the sugar.
Or when it has to be like a line this thick. It's like half a tube, and you're like, dude, what? My kid's gonna crack out by the time he's done with the top of that. Like, what are you trying to do? The longer I'm sitting here, the more it feels like more of a classic bourbon overall compared to some of the ones we have. Like I said, not bad. I like the flavors and notes coming out. I wish they were stronger, but I'm getting a little more barrel note on the finish, and then a little bit more tannin on the finish on it. And that's a little bit not as much of the other flavors compared to some of the other stuff we have.
Right.
That we get some of it from the craft world. You know what I mean? I'm not bagging on people. We know there's a difference when you get to like that standard profile of things. There's definitely a difference. And I feel like, I don't think Ben mentioned it, was like, I feel like I'm a little biased now. Like, I wanted us all to have different viewpoints from around the country, to not have that in here. I pigeonholed us in a couple of years. Just like, well, that's, you know the difference.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I like that. You should. All right.
Moving on.
Do we want to?
Do you have a boom microphone?
I wish I did. I have a new mic set up right now, so this one I don't have on a boom. I can't just set it over there. But.
Can't walk over there. Or do you have any firecrackers?
Right.
And a bulletproof vest.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Enough of the inside jokes. All right. So
now, what do you guys have going on?
All right.
What do you have left?
What you got, Mike? Anything else? Or was
I've got others. I've got another 6 and 20 that I could hit into. But what do you got, Ben?
So I brought out tonight. This bottle was gifted to me. He's been a guest on our show, Brian Cushing, the Victorian Bar Room. So this is Jeptha Creed's straight bourbon, their 4-grain mash bill. And also another guest on our show and good friend of ours, Kelly Tennille. She is now a distiller at Jeptha's Creed. And from the word that I've gotten here, she's absolutely crushing it there, which we all expected. This one is coming in at 98 proof, 49% ABV. It's got a mash bill of 70% Bloody Butcher corn, 15% malted rye, 10% malted wheat, and 5% malted barley. So definitely what you would consider a high malt mash bill, and the unique aspect of they're only using Bloody Butcher corn as the corn additive in this. Malted rye and malted wheat, very interesting. So they've had, there's been some mixed reviews about Jeptha Creed over the last few years. They're a craft distillery that's popped up here in Kentucky. I pass them every morning and every afternoon on the drive to and from work. They sit right off I-64 near Shelbyville. They are female owned, and I believe they have their own farm where they're growing their own corn. So I've only had one little sample of this previously, and I think it was one of the first bottlings they released. So anxious kind of dive in and see what's developed on these guys. But,
Can't tell hearing music or noise in the background if my laundry's done.
That should be a new review that it should do. That's it's called laundry review. It's got to be done before the wash is.
We sit here, identify the background noises.
Yeah,
I think
you see your underwear spinning in the background.
Yeah. Hey Nathan, good to see you.
So this is interesting on the nose. It comes across a lot of mineral. It's almost chalky smelling, literally like fresh chalk. There's a slight sweetness, maybe kind of in the strawberry category of things. It's earthy, it's chalky, it's mineral. There's a slight sweet fruit note going there, but honestly, it's not the most inviting nose at all on a bourbon.
Well, I was surprised with the chalky note when you were with the Bloody Butcher. I was going to say it'd usually be looking dusty at worst.
So
yeah,
the question
earthy with Bloody Butcher, but go ahead, Mike.
Do you know how early in production this one was? Because I know there's
my
limited experience. I know there's a big difference.
Yeah, no. As far as I know, this is a more recent bottling. This was just picked up this past year. We'll dive into the taste here. So, it's interesting. It starts out very thin up front, and then it comes in really thick across the mid and the back of the palate. There's a light sweetness to it, a little bit of honey, a little bit of a tea note. It is better on the palate than it is on the nose. Again, you get a lot of mineral and chalk on the back end and the finish. Go in a second time. A bit of classic brown sugar on the front. There's an earthiness, I would say, almost like some cardamom and cinnamon spice going on. You get a little bit of not really a black pepper, more like a white pepper punch to it coming on the back end. I think that plays into the earthy notes that are there as well. It's It's not overly complex. It's not off-putting necessarily. And I would say it's better than the first time I tried this. But beyond the finish is really off-putting.
Too many tannins.
Not so much tannins. It's more the really strong mineral and chalk note carries through.
Think it's the
especially
water.
in the finish, and it's just a really unpleasant flavor in the mouth. It's definitely unique. I think with the, I think they're definitely trying for something interesting. They're trying for something different. You don't see a lot of people using that much Bloody Butcher in a mash bill. I definitely give them kudos for that, but it's, I don't know. I've heard some people, mixed reviews. I've heard some people just not like it at all, absolutely trash it, and then some people love it, think it's great. Coming in this time around, kind of middle of the road. It's not. I mean, it's not absolutely awful, but honestly, I see this at a bar somewhere. It's a definite pass. But I will say I've had worse on this show.
I've saved some of the worst. That's a whole. That's for a special person.
You need a mini barrel and just put all of the worst in a mini barrel and let it sit. Hey,
But
you never know.
I will say that the only person that I have, the only distiller I've met that I think works absolute magic with just straight Bloody Butcher is at Wood Hat.
Yeah. Gary.
Gary Hinegardner just does a fantastic job with it, because my experience with Bloody Butcher, I think it's a great flavoring grain. I think it can be a bit of a bridge if you've got other corns that are more primary and use a little bit of Bloody Butcher to accent a certain note. That's
usually like 5 to
20%. Our
20%.
friends at Iron Root, that was my first introduction to Bloody Butcher, but that's only a small percentage of the corn in there. The purple corn is their primary flavoring corn, and they're using yellow dent, and they have a little bit of Bloody Butcher. I think it's great for that. But as your primary corn, one of the things is, I will say this: if you make cornbread with Bloody Butcher, is it good cornbread? And my personal experience is no, it is not. It's earthy, it's bland, it's just not great. And that's what you're going to get carrying over into a whiskey. And so as a primary corn, it needs something else. It definitely needs something else. And I don't know how much on this with the malt, the malted rye, the malted wheat, the malted barley, how much that is actually maybe amplifying a little bit of that chalk and mineral note going on with that percentage of malt that's going on in there. So just my 2 cents on that. But
I get you.
Yeah.
I can see how that happened. Mike, what do you got over there? Oh, go ahead, sir.
If your Bloody Butcher red cornbread's not coming out right, I'll be the advocate for Gary and just say it's because you're making it wrong.
That's probably what he would tell me. But
Because I guarantee you, he's made it.
Yeah, we had that
Oh, yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
You could learn how to do that again if you missed that.
actually, that my experience with Bloody Butcher cornbread is from the cornmeal, Bloody Butcher cornmeal that he sent to me, that I make cornbread from. And yeah,
Well, I think the purple or blue has usually been a little bit more flavorful in general when I've had it on seasoning or anything, or just not
It
seasoning,
makes it.
breading.
That blue makes a damn
Right.
good cornbread.
it sure
It's
does.
a lot of fun.
That's one of the better cornbreads I think I've ever made or had, is using blue corn.
Yeah.
But I think if you're familiar with building cocktails, you have your primary ingredients, and then you have certain components that act as a bridge. They're a flavor bridge between, to bring one component over to the other to kind of draw those together. And I think that's kind of what Bloody Butcher, the purpose in distilling that it can serve, is acting as a flavor bridge, if you will. That earthiness helps maybe balance out some of the sweetness and other components in coming together, but it doesn't need to be your primary flavoring corn. Gary, though, does an exceptional job with it, but he is, he's doing some different unique things, his Chinkapin oak barrels and everything. And he's also blending it with blue corn. He's got that red and blue. And so, I mean, there's different things he's doing that I think are unique and stand alone, but in general practice, just my little bit of experience in the distilling world so far, Bloody Butcher, this is about what I would expect from that. If somebody was handing me a bourbon and they said, this is Bloody Butcher bourbon, I'm kind of bracing myself a little bit. So
Emily's asking, like, the Dickel Funk turned up to 11?
No, not that kind of mineral. No, that's more of like, to me, it's a little bit different. That's more like, I compare that Dickel to Tang or vitamin C, like a vitamin C lozenge or something like that, This is more like a chalky mineral in the sense, if you're used to getting that note out of certain wines, then I think you can relate to it. Maybe I'll tell you what, here's what I would compare it to. Just a straight up glass of Alka-Seltzer.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask about Tums.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking
non-flavored Tums.
Chalky note.
Yep. Exactly. That's the category. That's where your mind needs to be when I'm describing this. So that maybe that's a better way of saying, yeah, this is just like a bourbon that's flavored with Alka-Seltzer or Mylanta or Tums or something along that line. That sodium bicarb kind of thing.
True.
Yeah. And Nathan's comment about Gary's Bloody Butcher, it is fruit and toffee.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And damn, is it good.
And so that's another thing that I think speaks to terroir because of where is it being grown. Alan has, of course, talked about different corn varietals growing specifically better in regions that they originated from. It's like they have a memory for that area. We talked personally with Gary, and he was not very big on Jimmy Red. He didn't think it was wonderful, but he grew it there in Missouri, and Jimmy Red comes from Edisto and Johns Island down in South Carolina. And, our experience with High Wire and what they're producing with the Jimmy Red is fantastic. It's fabulous. So I think that comes into factor as well. What's your farming practices, where you're growing it at, that all carries over. So.
Do you have another one out there, Mike, you want to do this evening?
I do. And I was going through it and making a bunch of notes because I was getting some really weird stuff on it. But I've got another 6 and 20, the Old Money, also 40%. So I'm sure that's probably just their thing, putting them all out. But I think, we've had these for a little while. So I don't know if they're still doing everything at 40% or not, but the Old Money, so on the nose, first I was getting sweet tea and hard candy on the nose with it, which I could see it, with wheat, but it was very sweet. But the palate is what was jacking me up. But I kept getting the same notes. They would come back and come back and come back. And it was just the weirdest freaking thing. And obviously, yes, it could be me, but I had bland food for dinner. So there's nothing spicy going on, nothing that should get in the way. And I'm certainly not spicy, but I was getting cola filled wax candy on the palate. And then Pop-Tart, the Pop-Tart pastry. And then I would get like a little bit of like green, very green hay. And then it would finish off with caramel. It was freaking weird. And it kept doing it consistently as I'm drinking it. So I've saved it because I want to go back to it another day because they're really weird, but every time I took a sip, I was getting the same thing going over and over and over again with it. It's interesting, but I will say definitely there's like no lengthy finish to it at all. You're muted.
Oh no. Ben is.
Here we go. All right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a very easy sipping spirit overall. There's not a lot of complexity to it. The flavors are there; they are what they are, and it was designed that way from the get-go. That's the owner of 6 and 20. This was the first spirit they produced. It was kind of, I guess, a little bit of a folk story. His wife agreed to let him start the distillery if he made a whiskey that she could drink. And so that was what he did with this. It was supposed to be a soft, easy sipping, sweet profile whiskey that the average Joe could enjoy, and in particular his wife. And so that's what you have.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We've heard of other owners making that concession.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with an easy sipper.
Not at all. Not at all.
If your significant other's only request is making something that they would like to drink, I think that's fair. I would go for 3 things I like to drink. Let's start with this.
My weird tasting notes that I kept coming. I really want to go back and try it again because that kind of bugs me. Those are what I'm getting. It's not that they're offensive. It's weird. It's weird. It's like a weird dream. It's like, what in the hell is all this stuff on here?
Right.
And it was consistent every time. I'm getting the same thing. It was just odd. I did make a blend of all 3 of them because I have
to ask the people. I don't know how I'm going to react because all I got left is the Board Creek's spirits, and that's a 6 and 20 Bulrush Gin.
Oh, the Bulrush, the gin. Yeah.
Yep. So hold on, that's not what's in here. I'm not saying this is some water to clean out the glass.
Sure. Yeah. Just having a little gin to clean up my glass.
I'm nervous. I'm still nervous about gin, even though I found out I actually like some of it. Pretty clear. A little touch of cloudiness. Pretty nice there. Ooh, didn't jump out before I got there, but right about there.
Mm-hmm.
Pine needles. It smells like a little bit of fennel. It's not bad though. No, almost like there's like a club soda in it already.
Okay. I want to see if you get there's a specific botanical they use in the Bulrush Gin that I want to see if you pick up on that and can pull that out.
I'm probably gonna miss it. There's like an earthy flat note, but I can't pick that. But that's so hidden and muted behind everything else that's bright, and that pine pine sap smell. It's not just like a pine; it's a little bit of the sap. One more classic gin. I'm gonna be honest. Tad nervous.
Shoot it.
Chug, chug, chug.
Oh shit! I'm gonna be pissed when you tell me what this is because I can taste the flavor, but I don't. It's not coriander. There's something.
No, I think they have coriander in that. But,
okay, then I'm like,
but no, think more floral, but it's a funky floral.
I'm not gonna
funky flowers.
Yeah, they're very. It's a distinct nose and flavor. When I say it, you're probably going to be able to pick it out, but
I will.
It's pretty. To me, it's pretty heavy on it.
It is. There's a syrupy note, and there's like this tart note too that I'm getting on the back half that I was not expecting. For a gin, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not very, the preface as they should know, don't get excited about gin very often. No offense. But that's just me. But not a bad gin, but in my tasting, from my flavor, from what I've had from other ones, a little, I would tone down the pininess coming off of this, but that's because I tend to shy away from a more like classic Navy gin in general. But we've had other Navy gins that weren't as. But, okay, what am I missing?
No, it's juniper. It's juniper heavy, but the other big botanical in there is lavender.
Son of a bitch.
And that's what really carries. And I have a I'll say an
It's so-
interesting time making cocktails with that particular gin because of that lavender, getting it to work with other flavorings. So
but the lavender it's in there, but it's like the third flavor on the nose. Like there's other stuff layered over the top of it. But yeah, son of a bitch. Yes, that's terrible. I have COVID, people. That's how I fucked up.
You lost your sense of lavender.
I questioned it earlier. It was like, is this orange really smell orangey, or is this just like one of those bland ones? She's like, it smells really orangey. I'm like, all right, I'm on track there. Holy cow.
I'll say the blend of 3. No,
No. I'm not. Gin's not going in my blend. Sorry.
no, that's
no.
I do want to have a commercial if we can for a couple things.
Have to.
Commercial break.
Yeah. So we are. It's getting out a little further, but we are part of a group called the Bar Cart Co-op, which is all independent channels, all doing their own thing, but yet we kind of, I'll say we uplift each other and promote each other and share as much as we can. And there is a Bar Cart Co-op Facebook page that you can go in there and like, and there are things that are going on and coming up. So we're part of it. Bourbon Turntable that Ben is on is part of that too. So you should be also checking out Bourbon Turntable, which comes out on Wednesdays and has great playlists for every episode, which is awesome. But the big upcoming kicker offer show for Bar Cart Co-op is going to be something that all of you lovely nerds are going to be all about. And that is coming up next week on the Bar Cart Co-op. We'll post more when we have a link and stuff. We'll put it up there. But they're going to Kevin and Alan Bishop are going to interview Adam Stumpf and Todd Leopold about their really awesome sweet stills. Adam is now running the 100-year-old still, their spirit that's coming off of it. And of course, you guys have heard about Todd, him and his big fancy ass whiskey. But
may have mentioned him once or twice here.
That we love. So that's going to be a really good show. I think it could be an hour show. It could be a 5-hour show.
It could be 5 hours.
At least 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, just minimum.
Yeah, to have that
hours.
and having Alan be the moderator for it, I think is pretty cool. It's going to be a huge nerd fest talking about those stills, and hopefully we'll get more in-depth and live stuff on Stump's still. Maybe someone will document that like Todd did, although maybe not as dramatically beautiful as his was done.
Hire out those nephews.
Ken Burns video.
Yeah, I mean, you need Ken Burns to come. I thought about that actually. Was like, Ken's getting older. I pulled those 2 kids up. Someone needs to keep those specials going.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, we'll and also a shout out to Emily, who's doing a lot of work tonight because we're getting hit with some bots.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's a badge of honor. That show next week. Check it out. Go to the Bar Cart Co-op Facebook page, like it, follow it. You're going to see more people that are popping up on there. Jeff Schwartz, Whiskey Fellow is on it. Hood Sommelier. So who am I thinking? Single Barrel Snob. What other shows? There's some other shows that are being worked on.
Yeah, there's some shows in the works that are.
There's like 4 of them that are up and coming.
And there's going to be a lot more going on than just podcasts and YouTube shows. I believe there's going to be a what do you call it, an e-magazine type thing in the works. So some in-depth articles and stuff like that, interviews, things like that going on in print form, as well as other projects. I would assume I think one of the early things, if people remember, about a year ago, we had an absinthe tasting was an event with Brian Cushing and with Alan and Christy. And I think that was kind of a bit of a forerunner, but events like that will be things that will probably become part of that as well. So,
yeah. And John's comment, it is this. It's the same person, but I don't know that you're going to get the same Alan Bishop that pops into the chat.
Right.
But
Right.
Because
we can
I-
poke
I'm-
at him from the shadows.
we
like
could
he
we
does
could
us.
we could poke him like he does to us, but I highly doubt you're going to have Todd talk about something really cool with the still. Adam will jump in, and Alan's not going to say your mom at the end of whatever they say. So it's going to be a little different. But it should be really good. It should be a good interview because Adam's, there's only been photos and stuff going on. So I've seen the still. It's really freaking cool. It's beautiful. The stuff that he got, all the equipment, everything is absolutely beautiful. And for him, when he starts talking about how that thing was designed to work, and not only that, but what they had to do, to take it apart, and he had to rebuild a lot of stuff, and
then rebuild a little bit at the end too. Take it apart, reduce some more. But I mean, that's what I find the most impressive is he did all the work.
Yeah,
Right.
That's, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? When we're talking about people at a show and people who care and get into it, that's someone who's like, I didn't hire it out. No, I had to I figured it out.
Yeah.
You know,
He was talking about, Dave Ewald was there when I went there several months ago too. Adam was talking about having to repair some of the copper, and that copper is so thick that he had to TIG weld it. Now, he did not have a big fancy Lincoln welder, but he had his little welder. But because the copper was so thick, he had to heat it up on the torch, or with the torch, to get it warm enough so he could TIG weld it. And it was built to last. It's pretty awesome. So
yeah, it's pretty tall too.
yeah, when you have to cut a hole in your roof because of the still, definitely go see there. And I may be going there maybe this weekend, driving over to Stumpy's. So
awesome.
we shall see, because there's kind of a whiskey being released.
Not today.
Maybe Malort and White Castle. I don't know.
I don't think anything's gonna beat the McRib. I think.
No, because the consistency of the McRib is just.
It doesn't.
And again, it wasn't the Malort. It was the McRib.
I can handle the Malort all day long.
Yeah.
The McRib just destroys you.
I don't know about all day long, but yeah, there's a difference.
And it was, just to make it sound worse, it's the consistency of the McRib.
Yeah.
But in a word, chunks. It's chunks in, chunks out.
You're making my stomach hurt.
Over the line.
All over.
Yeah. It did not sit well. It was not meant to process in your body.
No.
It's used for roofing repairs. So, other commercial, because just because I know we won't go late. Whiskey Crusaders is celebrating their 3rd anniversary on YouTube. So go harass them and have fun, because I'm sure they're going to, I think it'll go long. They have a tendency to go long for long shows.
I don't know if it was tonight or it's later this week when they're going to be having like a battle of the single malts. I know it's. I
think that's tomorrow night. I think they're doing 2 shows.
Tomorrow night. Yeah, I was going to say it's Battle of the Single Malts, where they have 4 single malts from around the country: Balcones, Westland. I'm forgetting the other one. I'm forgetting the other 2. I know one of them they thought might be from my state, but I don't know if that was for sure. So I don't want to get in trouble.
The Cedar Ridge single malt.
Which
I understand is really good.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's another. That'd be another one to take a look at.
That's another distillery I think we need to go back and look at again, because I know we reviewed some Cedar Ridge stuff. Probably it's been over a year ago, but they've been catching some really high praise and accolades and a lot of the stuff that's been coming out from them lately.
I think we only had 1 from them, but yeah, I know. Right. I was looking at that too, especially with
2. We had the standard, then we had the special one that Big Steve sent.
Okay.
But that was it. But they've got that single. I was up in Iowa a couple weekends ago, and I saw a bottle. I just couldn't get it. But yeah, there's that one. There's a couple other ones around there, another Iowa ones that I'd like to get and explore. I do want to try to pick up Iowa Legendary Rye, which now I think they're calling some of it Sestro, but that is the one. Iowa Legendary Rye is in the same county as Templeton. There was the story of basically the old Templeton Rye. Well, Templeton, yes, they did go out and they got their stuff sourced, and that's how they did it. Iowa Legendary, though, they have it. They've always made it. They made that recipe. It is from it's a woman's recipe, and it was done as they called it a baker's recipe. Reportedly, because of how it's made and the ingredients and so on, you can have more of it and you don't get a nasty hangover. I'm not going to test that theory, but
Right.
that is what I have had. I've had some of the early stuff and I liked it. I had some of the new make and I liked it. And I'll have to say I liked it better than the Templeton that Templeton sources, but I've also had real Templeton rye that someone left on someone's porch, because you can still get that in that area, and that stuff's dangerously good. So maybe we can get a hold of some of that too.
We'll see. I like it. But I think that's good. We're running on an hour. We want to hop off and not keep you on too long. So I'm gonna cash out with the triple malt. That was my favorite.
I got the blend going here. A little triple malt and Jeptha.
Oh, how's that gonna?
It's the chalkiness on the Jeptha really kind of comes through on the nose on the top, and then you get the fruitiness of the triple malt underneath. I will say the combination is better than the Jeptha alone.
All right.
I would hope so.
I'm gonna have the old money wheat.
All right.
Here's to old money.
Here's to old money. Here's to some new money.
I just take some money. That would be great.
Right.
I don't care whose it is. I don't care whose it is. You could just give it.
And we got next week. What are we doing next week? Did we decide?
Widow Jane, I think.
Widow Jane. That's right.
Doing some Widow Jane on Valentine's Day.
Celebrating
Yeah,
Valentine's
I think we're all making Lisa Wicker our Valentine date.
Well, we got to get them before people are going to say they're not craft anymore now. So
that's very true.
Oh God, that's right. Yeah. But that's a good thing to discuss about it, because that's a whole nother topic. And there's like 10, 12 other ones.
That is something I'm going to try to have Lisa come on the show with us at some point. I've got to know her. She's been very supportive of me in the distilling endeavor, and would love to have her on to discuss, especially now with the sale, what all this means for Widow Jane and her thoughts on that. So
it'd be nice to let people see where they're going to go or where it's going to end up at here within about a year or so.
Right.
Supposedly, I heard an interview with Shapiro, and he said they weren't going to do anything to them. You hope not.
Right.
Except distribute them more, up the production.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. I mean, we're not going to do anything. And they're like, no, you're going to put the quotas up here at least.
Got to put the screws to them.
Not the screws, just like we think you can do this much more with your still.
Right.
Yeah. we have the money that you can hire and people to come in at night. It can run.
We want to send you a dashing distiller named Mitch that we let go.
And our corporate number crunchers have determined.
He released himself of his own recognizance. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for stopping in for these reviews this evening. Had a lovely time with some of 6 and 20 and Jeb Creed, and thank you guys for stopping in. Thank you guys for drinking with me tonight, Ben and Mike. But remember, it's not the size of the not the size of the den, it's the love of whiskey. Sorry, I mean, it's just a statement comes out, it just sounds so blunted.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.